Moons' Big Hairy List.
All right, so with the AFL record this week going with the what could have been.
What if it has, mate? It's
what
on the
if,
front
sorry.
cover, like you're gonna do it,
if
go
we
with
could
it properly.
turn back time.
What if? Yes.
We have there a bit of share. Yes, the what ifs. So we thought we'd have a look through it and just see what the top five might have been. Obviously, yes, I am in there. So what if I did not shank that kick at halftime?
Are you in your own top five? Or
no.
Otherwise, we need to mention it first. We can't just
I'm
throw
mentioning
it away.
it first. Yes,
Please.
I am here because I shanked a kick at halftime because I thought if I kick this, I'll kick 3 for the half. I'll have Brownlow Norm Smith wrapped up and I'll start a fight and it'll be fantastic. But it all didn't go to plan when I shanked it, Wallow. Anyway. At number 5.
Right, what do you got at 5? What if?
At number 5, we're going to go with Hawthorn. Now, I love this one. The what if. What if they didn't take Mitch Thorpe at pick 6, who played 2 games, a total of 2 games.
Wow.
And at pick 7, Joel Selwood.
Well, that would have been handy, but they still went on to win.
Yes,
3
but imagine
premierships.
adding Joel Selwood to that list and what that does on the other side for Geelong.
I think it would have been the opposite. Almost should have been in Geelong. What if they didn't get Selwood?
Well, but I think he throws Selwood with Hodge, Mitchell, Lewis, Rioli, Franklin. Clearly, that makes them probably 6-time premiers.
You reckon that many?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
All right.
how important
and
he
how
was
many would
to
have
the
Geelong have won if you hadn't have?
Well, very good question. Maybe we don't win any because he was a big reason why us older players
07 you would have
pulled
won.
our fingers out because he was embarrassing us on the training track when he got
but
there.
07 you would have definitely still won.
I don't know if we definitely, but
Anyway.
we would have been around.
All right, moving on. What do
All
we
right,
got?
number 4, Western Bulldogs. So in 2011, if they don't have the pre-finals bye, so this is when it first came in, they finished 7th on the ladder. They travelled over to Perth. They played Fremantle, I believe, and got absolutely smacked. They had the first ever pre-finals bye. The next week, they bring in Wood, McRae, Stringer, Roughhead, Libber.
Wow.
Which they wouldn't have been able to bring in because those guys weren't ready to play the next week. They then travel back to Perth, get a great win against West Coast, and the rest is history.
They win in Melbourne the following week. Then they go to the Giants for the prelim,
Yes.
and then the grand final, of course, against
One of the great
Swans.
finals runs of all time. But do they win if they do not have a pre-finals bye? I don't think they do.
Okay.
I don't think
Would have been
they
very
do.
difficult.
At number 3, and this is for Essendon. What if Stephen Denk never walked through the door?
I thought you were going to say Dodoro. And
Oh,
I thought
jeez. That's
was,
a bit rough.
No, well, to be honest, I thought that's what you were going to say, and I thought that was a bit rough from the AFL record to go with something like that.
What if Stephen Denk never walked through Essendon's doors?
Heard he's still coaching?
Well, yeah.
Maybe. Finals win.
It is one of the great what ifs. Clearly, there was a man who ripped a football club apart, and we'll never ever know exactly what happened.
No.
Pretty bad. Number 1 or 2 and 1, they're the same person because this guy is arguably one of the greatest players we've ever seen. But number 2, Dusty Martin. It says here at the end of 2016, he refuses an offer to go to North Melbourne, which we all know at that stage would have been $1 million a year. It was a huge offer from North.
In 2016 would have been the first $1 million player.
If he
apart from Gary Ablett?
if he takes the North Melbourne gig, Richmond never win 3 premierships. He doesn't win 3 Norm Smith medals. And are we talking about Dusty in the same breath?
I'll see. Yeah, okay. No.
That's a massive what if. Because now Dusty is one of the greatest players we have seen.
Would North Melbourne have benefited?
No, well,
at that
North
stage?
Melbourne went on a slide and they only won 6 games the next year. I don't think he's going to take them to a premiership.
Yeah. So, no, everyone.
So that is a completely different Dusty Martin story.
Yep.
At number 1, we're going with Dusty again.
Another what
so
if
not
for
really
Dusty.
does. Well, it's more Melbourne. I'm going to give this one to Melbourne. So in 2009, Melbourne took Tom Scully and Jack Trengove. So Scully was the
number 1.
Yes, and Trengove was the number 2.
2. Sorry. I thought it was a trick question. I'm like, I think it's 2, but now
And
I'm
at
not
number
sure.
3, Richmond took
Dustin Martin.
What happens, again, with everything, if Melbourne take Dustin Martin?
Well, those guys. So Scully left, of course, to go to Giants as a
Trengove
marquee
left
player.
as well.
And Trengove was a young captain and just didn't, and then end up at Port, didn't he, for a
They
little bit of time?
absolutely destroyed those 2
didn't
young
work
men.
out for him in the
It
end.
was a horrible place to be at that stage at Melbourne. But Dusty gets to Richmond, Rest is
All
history.
right, that is our big, hairy list. To check it out in the AFL Record this week, aflrecord.com.au if you haven't got a copy at the ground this weekend. This is the warm ball thanks to Bet365 and Planet Fitness. Stay with us. We've got our moment of madness and with the weekend preview not too far away.